I became a sort of a customer of Zopa's when I needed to buy a car with who is now my wife.
Okay.
So we were just looking for a car loan, and it was literally a Google search, and Zopa popped up.
Oh, okay.
And it rang a bell. I think I'd probably maybe seen some adverts or something like that.
Yeah.
But working in this sort of digital area, it appealed to me straight away. Then the idea of cutting out banks from the equation, so there's actual individuals lending
Doubly
and individuals
appealed.
borrowing, that added to the appeal. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Same for you, or how did you cut?
Well, very similar. I work in digital marketing. I'd heard of Zopa, and when an opportunity came to invest some money, and it was a small amount of money, I thought, well, I could go to the bank, or I could try something new and interesting, and it went very well. I mean, basically, I put the money into Zopa, and I got a return almost immediately at a very base level. And then I could see my funds slowly going out to people by way of a loan as they applied. People like you. Yeah. And it's great that you bought the car.
Yes, yeah. We
don't it's great that you married your wife.
Yeah. It all worked out well.
How did the rates compare to the bank at the time?
That's what was obviously I was attracted to the idea of borrowing from people rather than a bank, but the rates need to be similar, I think. And they were. I think it was at the time it was the cheapest loan I could get, which so that obviously that appeals doubly so. But
for me at the time as well, it was the best interest rate I could get. So without investing in something that was high risk.
Yes.
And there was always an assurance from Zopa that the risk would remain managed. And I must admit, initially I was a little bit sceptical.
But you're lending someone you've never met.
Yeah, exactly. Or a bunch of people I'd never met. But actually, I mean, it worked really well. So overall the return was, I think, 6%, something along those lines.
Yeah, which over the last few years, that you'd sort of jump at the chance.
Absolutely.
10 years ago, when I borrowed $5,000 to buy a car, I didn't expect. And I knew the way that I was borrowing that was from lots of individuals, and I'm getting £10, £20 from each of them, so there's no risk really to them. And I pay that money back over time, and that's the end of it. So I think 7 years ago I finished paying it off, I never imagined that I'd actually then end up sitting in a cafe talking to one of those lenders.
It's bizarre. And I think obviously from the lending side it was anonymous as well. And I had no idea that this was ever going to happen. But it's nice to hear the human story behind it. It's nice to hear that you got the car.
That's right.
And I think everybody wins, really.
That's really good.